One well-known holiday plant is the Easter lily, and it really is a beautiful plant with these pure white blooms and also the scent that wafts through the air. It just reminds us of this wonderful Easter holiday and also of the approach of springtime. Well, many of you may have received an Easter lily, and you may be wondering how to keep it alive and also how to keep it thriving. And there are just a few things that you can do to keep it looking very nice and blooming a long time. And first, Easter lilies like a brightly lit spot, not with direct sun, kind of filtered sun, and they also like a cool environment. So if you have a place that's about 65 degrees during the day and a little cooler at night, they really like that a lot. Also, Easter lilies need a lot of water, but the thing that you want to remember as you're watering them is to remove the pot from its protective sleeve, water it, let the water drain out the bottom, and then if you want to, you can put it back in that sleeve. But don't water it and set it in that sleeve, because what will happen if you water it and let the water go down is it will collect there and your bulb will rot. Also, as the blooms start to fade, like this one does, what you can do is remove those, and that will help extend the life of the other blooms. And also, a lot of people don't like to deal with the pollen, and actually you can take a napkin and remove the pollen. Just go in here and just pull that right off, and that will help your flower last longer. The other thing is that this pollen stains quite a bit, so if you've got a tablecloth you don't want that to get on or something like that, you can just remove that, and that'll help the bloom last a little bit longer. Now, once you've got your lily, they aren't a really good houseplant for very long. You can enjoy the blooms while they're going, but they make a great addition to the garden. You can actually plant them out as soon as all possibility of frost is gone. And the thing that you want to think about if you're going to locate your Easter lilies out in the garden is to find a spot that has nice deep soil with good drainage. Again, as I was saying before, Easter lilies need a lot of water, but they don't like to sit in water, so they need that good drainage. And so we've located a spot in a raised bed, and our soil is nice and light. It's got quite a bit of sand in it, and so this is a very well drained soil. The other thing that Easter lilies like is if you can find a spot where their roots are actually in a shaded area, but their tops are in the sun, they will like that a lot. So if you can find a spot where the roots can stay in the shaded area, or use some mulch after you plant it, and that can help those roots stay in the shaded area. Now, you want to plant your Easter lilies really deep, and there are several reasons to do this. And actually, I've got a lily here that I washed the soil out of to show you why you should plant them a little bit deeper. And first, this is the bulb that the Easter lily comes from, and you'll notice that there are roots below, but there are also quite a few roots up above this. And actually, when they're planted in the pot, they're planted fairly low in the pot, about a quarter of the way up. They set the bulb in and fill the rest with soil. Now, the reason for doing this is that a lot of the Easter lily's roots are developed along this stem above the bulb. You can see a lot of them here, and they're coming from the stem. Now, this provides additional support for the plant. If you plant this up too tall and these stem roots aren't able to develop, then it doesn't get a lot of support. And again, an Easter lily is pretty top heavy because of all these blooms at the top and also this tall foliage. The other reason to plant them deep is that the bulb is actually, again, likes that cooler weather. And if you have them up close to the surface, they would tend to heat up, and you could risk losing your bulb. And finally, if you'll notice, we've got little bulblets starting here, and you'll notice where they are. They develop at the top of the bulb. So over the years, the lily kind of works its way up towards the surface. So if you start with this bulb lower, you won't risk losing your plant because it's worked its way up towards the surface too quickly. Now, once we've got our hole dug, we need to go ahead and unpot our lily, and we'll use this one here. You may lose a few of these bottom leaves, but the rest of the foliage should be healthy. Now, we've got quite an extensive root system here, and if you want to tease a few of these roots out, just a little bit, so that they don't continue circling, that'll help with planting your lily. Now I'm going to just put it in the hole here. And again, I'm really going to plant it just slightly deeper than the top of the soil in the pot. So I've got a nice deep hole, and fill in around it with my soil, gently packing it in. Now, you don't really need to fertilize your Easter lilies while they are blooming. You can wait until they're finished blooming, and then you can fertilize them with a dilute fertilizer solution or a slow release, say like Osmocote, about once every 6 weeks. Now, the thing you'll want to remember is, again, to water this in really well and continue to water it because they do take a lot of water. The other thing to remember with an Easter lily is do not cut this foliage off. Let that foliage die down on its own, because what it's doing right now is feeding that bulb. And if you were to plant this and cut it off as soon as you plant it because you thought it looked a little bit ratty, you would be robbing the bulb of all that food that those leaves are manufacturing. So leave that foliage on, cut the blooms off as they're spent, and enjoy that lily. Now, in some cases, a forest Easter lily will bloom again in the fall, but that's not very common here in Oklahoma. It happens more up in the north. However, it will bloom for you next spring. It may not be on Easter, but it'll probably be in late April or maybe early May. You'll have a beautiful lily in your garden.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.